072. Under the eye, 29. Under the O, 69.
Bingo!
Bingo, that's been called.
Under the B2, I-18, G49, O69.
The O65, O65, I24, 7, 8.
Shake it out all the way down and march.
Okay, I'd just like to welcome Kiba. He's going to speak to us a little bit on computer fraud. And there's a handout. If you haven't got a handout, find Heidi. She has them. It's his presentation. So thank you for coming, Kiba, and take it away.
So I just want to check everyone can hear me okay? Yep. Okay, so we're going to just talk about a few parts of computer fraud. You've all got the handout, so we'll come to those items in a minute. But basically, the question here I got is who's most likely to get scammed on the computers or via scam phone calls? It's actually anyone. Anyone at all, including myself. They catch you at the wrong time, at the perfect moment. These people have been honing their scripts. So if anyone here has already been scammed and knows what it's like, you shouldn't beat yourself up as being done anything silly or wrong. These people are very good at what they do. And you know, it's the young and the old. I've heard stories even today of younger people getting caught and losing all their data and having their computer trashed. And so it's not an age thing, it's just being aware and watching out for the signs. So that's kind of what I'm going to go through here. So it's going to be kind of informal, so if you have a question, especially if I say some of that techie speak that makes no sense, feel free to interrupt, let me know, and I will try to explain it a little better. So sometimes it's hard for us techs in the tech world to realize we're speaking another language. Okay, so we're all likely to be scammed. I'm going to go through some of the common methods that you've either experienced or likely to experience in the future. And probably one of the more common ones is you're happily using your computer, unaware of anything. Is that better? Unaware of anything wrong, and all of a sudden a pop-up comes up on the screen. It could look like...
Did you slow down a little bit?
Thank you, yeah. I do talk quick sometimes. So yeah, so if you look on the handouts that you have, some of you may have seen these pop-ups. They actually look like genuine error messages that you sometimes get on a computer. One of the red flags, and I'll mention red flags, if people don't know what that means, that's something that in your mind should go up to say there's something not right. It doesn't mean something's wrong, but you should start being suspicious. All these printouts, you'll notice a phone number on there asking you to call. And in a real life situation where you're having an actual computer problem, there will never be a phone number to call. It will just be telling you there's a problem. You should never call a number when a pop-up comes up on your computer. It is 100% fake. To give you an idea, Microsoft in particular are not interested in your computer. They will not ask you to call them for help. So that's a common one, to say that they're from Microsoft and they're not. So the reason why these are 100% fake when they ask you to call is from the outside of your computer, nobody knows what you're doing. It isn't possible for them to know your machine is infected. So someone from the outside cannot view what you're doing and know you have an infection. Especially if you phone that number, you'll find you're already a long way down the scan. They'll say, oh yes, we see your computer's infected. So what you should never do is call that number. If you think they could see your computer, no one would be able to do online banking. You would not be able to look at your emails because other people could see it. So that doesn't happen. So right now, nobody can see what you're doing on your computer. So that's the red flag, is the pop-up comes up with a phone number. Just remember, never ring the number. So what should you do? So the pop-up comes up. It's actually quite simple. Don't click on the pop-up, don't close it, just reboot your computer. Sometimes the pop-up is saying your computer's infected, but they've changed what's on the screen, and what the computer thinks it's telling you is, please install this piece of software. And you click on close, and you've actually said install, even though you don't realize it. So just restart your computer. 9 times out of 10, you're completely good there. Your machine was never infected, there was never anything wrong. You restart your computer and just use it as normal. The second step, run a virus scan, just in case. Your own one that's built into your computer that you have. Don't download anything special. What you already on your computer will be enough. And then, let's say 9 times out of 10, you're good. If you find your antivirus flags up that there is an infection, then you should contact, you can always call me for advice, I give free advice, but contact someone you trust, an IT person you trust, a local person preferably. Don't go Googling, how do I get an infection off my computer, because again, most of those are fake. So, what else? So you reboot your computer, and again, never call the number on the screen. They are the bad guys. So you'll be calling it, that's the big red flag. So what were they going to do if you called the number? Well, the first thing they're going to try and do is they're going to try and get you to panic. So if you've made a mistake, and you've called the number, hopefully another red flag will come up to try and stop what you're doing. So normally, you receive information, you think about it, and you make a decision. But we're also designed in extreme situations to go on instinct. So they try to get you to panic so that you bypass the thinking and you go straight to action. So they say your computer's infected, you call them up, and then they show you the problem on your screen, they get you to let them remote in, and they keep you panicking and getting it worse and worse, and then they ask for money. And at that point, if you're already susceptible, you're going to run with your credit card and you're going to give them everything. So the red flag is they're going to try and get you to panic. So if you phone up the number and you're starting to panic, that's another red flag. So they're going to show you errors on your computer if you've let them remote in to your computer. They're going to show you something scary that's going to show you how bad it is. It's all fake. There's nothing wrong with your computer. At that moment in time, you're already in trouble. Oh, question? Right, so I was just asked to mention about not letting them remote in. So once they have remoted into your computer, you're in a lot of trouble at that point. That is actually a bad point. So as soon as they say, I want to remote into your computer, just say no.
Yes, and then I stopped before I gave them my credit card though. It only cost me the fee to take it to the shop to get somebody I trusted to fix things.
Yeah, and that is quite common. You're not the only person in the room who's got that far as well and had to get it repaired. So definitely, the scary thing is, on your computer you have all your emails, you may have banking information, you may have said to the computer, remember my password the next time I go to do online banking. And unless you have put a password on your computer, you can just say, show me the bank web address, my username and password, and it will show it in clear text. So once they have remote access, they have a lot of access. So sometimes if you go onto a banking page or somewhere that you have to log in, you get a tick box to say remember. And then if you close the browser down, go open it up and go back to that web page, it can fill it all in for you, your username and stars for your password. But in that browser, you can go to settings and say, show me that password I told you to save. And it will unstar it. So the scammer who's remoted into your computer could go to that page and find your CIBC banking username and password if you saved it. So the remote access is you don't want to get to that point. But the moment you realize you've made a mistake, shut the computer down. Then they can't do anything. So that's...
You should, I think, explain a little bit more about remote access.
Okay, yeah, so I've been asked to explain more remote access. And the reason I skipped over that is I actually use remote access legitimately all the time. So remote access basically allows me remotely from where I'm sitting, say at home, to connect to someone else's computer, see their screen, keyboard, and use their keyboard and mouse. So I can take over completely and help someone who's having problems. So it's normally the person who wants the remote access has to download a little program and install it and say, I allow this remote access. And at that point, I have full control as if I'm sitting in front of your computer.
So I could say, get my grandson to do that.
You could, but in general, you have to be careful because when they finish what they're helping you with, you have to know that they're not still connected. So they could, and I work on business computers where I work when everyone's gone home at night because people don't want me rebooting their computer. So I can actually remote in when the computer's, no one is even there. So, and that's what some of these people try to do. So the remote access is the most important thing they want to do. Once they've got control, they will ask you for money. And then if you say no, they will actually can do things like delete all your work. They could copy everything you have to their computer in say if they're in another country. And then the worst thing they can do is put a password on, reboot your computer, and then you're locked out. And then you have to wipe the computer to get it working. So they can, once they've got the remote access, they can do what they like to your computer. They don't need you at that point. But what they do want is your credit card. That was a good question. That was a good question, Rashmi.
I was lucky. I didn't have banking information on it, and I don't think they found my credit card. So I was lucky.
That's good.
Dumb, but lucky.
It's not dumb. That's the common thing I hear. All of us, myself included, we're all no smarter or dumber than anyone else. It is just they are. There's been snake oil salesmen forever. And they know how to catch you. Like this? Right. So definitely don't beat yourself up about that. And I'd say it's not an age thing. It's not used to computers, not used to computers. I see it from everyone. People get hit. Big companies also get hit. And they're very good. They're very good at convincing you and keeping you moving very fast. So the amount you're likely to lose at the end of all this is between $300 and $800. That's another red flag. As soon as they start asking for large sums of money, antiviruses are free in general. You can pay, but they're going to be about $30 to $60, not $800. And no one will give you lifetime protection. That's the other thing they often say. So they're most likely at the end of all this going to leave your computer broken or infected. So at that point, if you have lost the money, you can call your bank quickly and they often will refund or stop the payment. So there's still things you can do, and at that point, unfortunately, you will have to get the computer service to be sure it's in a good condition. So that's pop-ups. Is there any questions on pop-ups, or was it too technical at any point? No, good. So the other one you're going to have seen already is fake emails. And they have fancy names for them. Phishing, spelled PH instead of F, is a common name for sending emails. And the way to think of it is, if you're at a lake and you're all the fishes, they cast big nets, they send emails to millions of people saying your Amazon account is a problem, your package won't arrive unless you fill in the information. And they hope that out of 1 million people, 1,000 people fill the form in, and out of 1,000, 100 people lose $100. And they do that every day, and they can make quite the living from that. So again, with emails, any real company sending you an email will not ask you to click on a link and put your details in. So they will tell you to go to the website your normal way and fill in the information. Yeah?
I even had this twice where I had somebody email me saying right afterwards, I mean, I did lose a relative then, and then they sent me an email saying that one of my husband's relatives had passed away and we inherited so much money, and then I asked my husband, do you know this fellow? Is this a relative of yours? And he said, no, we don't have nobody in the family or whatever.
And they probably sent that email to millions of people in the hope that 1 or 2 people might be susceptible. Yeah, I don't know how they sleep at night, but they do things like that. They also send emails, I heard recently, of saying my grandson is stranded, or your grandson. I'm your grandson, I'm stranded, could you send me some money? You know, they design these emails to be generic, to apply to, you know, like your horoscope kind of thing. It applies to everyone, and they're trying to find things that you go, that could be me, that could be real.
It sounds like it's really real.
Yeah.
It's something you would never think.
I had that experience of an aunt saying she was in the Philippines, she was in trouble, could I send money? So I sent a question to her that I knew only she could answer, and there was no response.
Yeah.
And then I contacted her through the normal email account, and she said, no, that's not me.
So, and that's a good example. So the actual correct thing to do at that point, when the email first comes in, and you may lose some legitimate emails, is just delete that first email, don't reply, and then contact the real person your normal way. So if it's a grandson and you don't have their email, you can still phone the parents and say, is your grandson in trouble? You know, don't ever reply to the email. And the problem with replying is they then add your email to a scammer's email list, which is huge, saying this person replied, he's susceptibility, they're like grooming. They're trying to get people who are more and more susceptible, and you might find you get an increase in scam emails. So definitely, I delete any email I don't recognize, and then any email that asks for me to click on the link or to fill in the information, I always delete that, and then I go to the company, like Amazon, and I query, I got an email.
Also, is it true that people who do those games like sidekick things, you know, or see what type of intelligence you have, and then they'll give you a percentage of how smart you are or something and describe you. Are those people more susceptible to getting hacked or spammed or something?
I don't think they're more susceptible, but that's a good question. It's something I was going to say at the end. But I'll say it now, it seems as you mentioned it. And that is, I called it my side note, if there was time, is doing the quizzes. The quizzes, especially on things like Facebook and other places, some of them could be real, but if they start asking you questions about security questions, when you forget your password, so if it says like, what was the name of your first dog, what was your elementary school, and put in your email address, they can use that to go to your email provider and say, I've forgotten my password for my email. And then they get your email address, and then they contact your bank, and they say, because they see you've got CIBC, and they go, I have forgotten my password for my bank, and they say, we will email you the password. So these quizzes are something, you only give relevant information to the quiz, not personal, private information about yourself. If they're asking that information, we don't know where it's going. It may be legit for them, but that information can get out. And then your security questions could be mined. So that was a very good question.
Just don't respond.
No, but if you are entering a quiz or some reputable group that you want no information, the red flag that I talk about is those security questions. Why do they want to know the name of my first dog? And you'd be surprised how many people will put everything about themselves to win the chance of winning an iPhone. You know, once they see that flashing iPhone on the screen, they will tell them anything, and that's risky. I don't recommend that. So yeah, so the phishing email, they basically send to everyone, waiting for people to buy it, and if you reply and you buy it, then the sequence of trying to get you to panic, trying to get you to send them money is the process that they go through.
Or do the 90 days, that marriage thing proposal, when they find out that you're a single woman, widow, and then catfishing, they call it.
Right, yes.
They get you, and they suck you in to be available, to be a boyfriend or girlfriend, and come to their country, and where do you live?
Yeah, they're looking for vulnerability. So if you're, I guess, a single woman who's lonely, and then they offer you this Prince Charming Nigerian prince, some people might fall for it. And it only takes one or two, and then they can make a living from it. And also, they might convince you to give more information about yourself to get access to other things like your bank account.
Yeah, and your picture of you and all this, they could use that for some other reason that you don't want.
Yeah, or send you an infected file that you open because you now trust it. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely the thing to do is to delete the email. Delete the email and then try, if it's suspicious and there's red flags around it, you don't know who they are, find another method. The internet is a bad place, full of bad actors, unfortunately. So you mentioned catfishing. There's another, we like our phishing terminology, there's something called spear phishing. So if everyone can picture a spear fisher, it's someone with a sharp spear and they target the fish instead of casting a large net. Spear fishing is actually quite hard to spot. So imagine you work in a company, so it's normally businesses that get hit, and the spear fisher goes to the website and they find the accountant on Contact Me and they find their email address. They take a copy of the logo, they put it in their email, they name, hi, this is the accountant's name, and they even spoof the email so it looks like it came from the accountant. And then they say there's a problem paying your wages. Hey, click on this link to fill in your banking details so that we can pay you tomorrow. And that is hard to spot. There's often spelling and grammar and other things. But again, no one is going to ask you to fill in your details and email them. They're going to either call you or you're going to their link through methods other than their email, something you already have. So the spear phishing is the hardest one to spot. It's very good. You've seen on the news when huge companies have had, you know, they're paid millions of dollars to a fake company because the accountant or the subordinate didn't realize it wasn't coming from their accountant. Again, don't feel silly. If you fall for any of these, millions every day are falling for these. It's a real problem. So that is really the emails. And then the last thing, if I've got... Oh.
Can I add to that? What you're saying about spear phishing, where you have the logo of the company, and I've got emails from CIBC or TELUS that says, we need your information. One of the things I do is go and check the email address. So if you click on the from, you can see and look at the detail of the email address. It will say, the name will say TELUS, but if you look at the actual address, it'll be like some Gmail account or something. And you know, TELUS is not going to send an email to your Gmail account, or CIBC is not going to. Their email account is going to be CIBC.com or TELUS.com. And that's another way to check, because I've had an email from TELUS saying, or TELUS or CIBC or even Netflix saying your payment is not going through, and I go and look at the from, and it's like, oh, some Gmail is trying to get me to...
It's worth mentioning you can completely change the from to a real email address. Okay. But it's the reply that they has to be fake, because it's got to go when you reply. So you're right, the from is often, if you look at the email, it will say from and then it'll be wrong. You know, they could put info.tellus@gmail.com, and so you see the first bit, you don't realize TELUS will never do a Gmail account. But even if it was correct, it's where when you reply, the from field, you hit reply, that has to be fake to go to them. So it is tricky, yes?
Usually in those emails there's a little link and it'll be in blue, and if you hover over that with your mouse you can see where it's going to go, and it's if it doesn't go to www.telus.com, it's going to go to XYZ at...
Typically though, I'd still delete it and then go to your own link that you have saved.
Do, but I mean, I recognize a lot of these things. I've also been caught on one of those pop-ups, but that's another story, which I'm not going to go into. But I get, because I have a business account, I've got stuff all over the place, and I get a lot of spam emails and phishing. But stuff from these reputable companies, they all have an address that you can report this to. And
yes.
I got one from TELUS the other day, and I just sent it to abuse@telus.com, and they said, thank you, we're shutting these guys down.
And it is always, if you think it's a real scam from a real faking from a company, if you just go to the real company's contact and just copy the email, they would appreciate that.
They really appreciate it.
But you don't have to, it is
No,
nice
I just do it because I'm tired of getting them, so.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is undisclosed recipients. So when you check who all's getting the same email, if they're asking for specific to you information, and they're sending it to thousands of people, then it's pretty obvious that it's a scam.
Oh yeah, it's worth double checking. You had a question as well?
Well, I just wanted to say the HTTP, there's an S on that means a secure line. So you also need to be aware that that's in the return address.
It definitely helps, although I can create websites that are secure.
That has it.
That has it, so it's the spelling, so you could have cibce.com, you know, if they changed the name slightly, they could create their own web page to look like yours. It's definitely good. If it's not secure, no official company would be using that site. No. So you want the green padlock on the address bar or where it says secure, but that's just general web browsing. If you find you're in an insecure site, back out of it. It's a problem. So then the last quick thing was fake calls. So it's still computer related, because what we find a lot in this valley and probably everywhere is they go through the phone book and they phone you up and they say, hi, this is Microsoft, your computer appears to be infected, and then they start the panic cycle. I'm sure we've all had those. Whether you have a computer, whether you have a PC or Apple, they will always start with Microsoft, and if you say, I have a Mac, they'll go, oops, I meant Mac. So those calls, just hang up. Microsoft are not going to call you about your computer being infected, and nobody knows what's on your computer. So they're just, is literally just a scam. I would say 100% always fake. The same for Canada Revenue Agency. It's tricky. It is rare for them to call you, but the common one is that they're calling you to say you're going to jail unless you pay this money. And it makes you laugh, but I've had some elderly people almost having heart attacks over this and giving everything they've got so they don't go to jail. And they're very good. They're very good at getting the money.
Or they have that picture of an incredible event, and you went to tap it to view the picture or the story about that picture, and they got you then too.
Yeah. We could talk all night long about all the different scams, and I'm sure everyone here has had personal experiences, and the common thing they leave you all with is a sense of shame and self-doubting, and they want that to not spread the fact that it's going on. But like I say, I know professional techs that have fallen for this. I've known teenagers, everyone in between. No one is immune, and no one is foolish for falling for this. The thing is, red flags. As soon as you feel uncomfortable, just hang up. You could be polite and you could say, I'm sorry, I got to go, call me back another time. But normally when you've called them, they also record your phone number, and they will call you back, and they will call you, and they will call you again. So if you just hang up, they normally won't call back. So are there any other questions? Yeah?
Yeah, in regards to these telephone solicitations that are fake, you often see reports where say, report to your RC, or to your local police. Well, don't you think our police have better things to do than to track scam phone calls? Or is it valid? Is it a valid thing to report it to the police?
I'm unsure on that. I would say my recommendation is as soon as you pick up the phone and they say, hi, I'm from Microsoft.
Oh, and I do.
Yeah.
But you always see it in the news reports and stuff. Report to your police station, and it's like.
I've not seen that.
I've seen a lot of it.
I think what happens is sometimes these cameras go by area code, and so the thing is, if you tell the police puts a notice out so that so more people are aware that these calls are coming in for a particular kind of scam.
Okay.
And that's the reason.
Maybe
so they target an area code, like let's do the Robson Valley 566 numbers or whatever, and that's why they ask you to report it. Yeah.
And often these scamming sites close down daily and open up with new numbers. So, because they're internet numbers, they're not actual physical phones often. And they can have 100 numbers a day and then just change them the next day and change the pop-up. So it's difficult. The key is, keep your banking safe and your computer safe. Online banking is completely safe if you have antivirus and you're just very careful where you go. And just don't, basically treat the internet, this is how I'd like to leave this with, treat the internet as the same suspicion as a random person who looks really shifty knocking on your door. Everything that happens, they may not be shifty, but everyone knocking on your door, especially if you didn't ask for it. If you're just doing your own thing and some random person knocks on your door, don't immediately go, oh yes, I must do what you're saying, and here's my credit card, and here's my password. So the equivalent is a pop-up comes up, your computer is infected. Well, how do they know? Yeah, they don't know. Turn your computer off. You can click on the start if it's a Windows machine and say shut down, or click on the Apple and say restart. Just remember, don't click on the pop-up. It may not be a problem, but 9 times out of 10, there's nothing wrong with your computer at that point. So, I don't know how I'm doing for time. Ooh. Any more questions? Oh, question at the back.
It's not quite on track. But if you win the lottery, how do they let you know?
It's when you check the ticket.
Oh.
Any computer-related questions? The lottery are not going to phone you up. They don't have your details. Right, well done. Spread it around.
I'm your best man.
Any other questions while I'm here? I've got a minute left, I think.
Yep, you're good for a minute. Maybe 2.
It could be not related to security if you have a computer question. You've got me captive audience right here.
I'll ask you one.
Yeah.
If your computer tells you that it's full and you can't possibly do anything else and you can't even log in anymore, is that time to call you?
Yes, but if you, before that, it should be warning you that you're nearly full, and I would delete some stuff, or there could be a problem with your computer, and there is a condition where these annoying Windows updates fail, and then it re-downloads the update to try again, and it fails, and it's slowly filling up your hard drive that way, and it's time for a service and to fix. Yes?
If a printing comes up on your computer and says your computer is being updated, and then says, do you want to do it now or next day?
Yeah, it's a good question. The updates are things where Microsoft or Apple, they both do this, discover that there's actually a weakness in their code. Sometimes it could be all different performance issues, but one could be that there's a hole in their code that gets around everything for the hacker. There's something they didn't realize and someone points it out and they plug the holes. So the security updates you should try to do regularly. They should happen automatically. You don't have to do it immediately. You can schedule it to when it's more convenient. But you should update all your software through the normal method, the method that Windows will do it automatically. Your browser will probably say there's an update. You shouldn't have to do anything. You just go, okay, there's an update, and it will do it on its own.
I updated mine last night, and then it kept going off. Computer kept shutting down.
And not coming back on again?
Oh, it came back on again, but when I clicked it on to...
Yeah, sometimes it can take a while and a few reboots. And unfortunately, Microsoft, I don't know so much about Apple, annoyingly will sometimes have the screen black when it's still doing something. And so it could be something wrong with your computer. It shouldn't do it when in the middle of using it. But it should say, I'm doing updates, I would like to shut down now.
Well, it shut down, I did the update, and then I went back to it a couple of hours later, and then it came on, and that's, you know.
It might have still been doing something. It's hard to say. It's not normal, but it could be okay, I don't know. It would need some investigation.
Sometimes what happens is that the updates are done while it's off. When you restart again, it says now updating your computer. Yeah. So there can be two processes.
And sometimes the screen can be black while it's doing that, which is frustrating because you think the computer's not working when in fact you mustn't turn it off. So I would say give it some time. If it's still doing it, then you can always contact me or someone else who knows about computers and see what they think. All right. I think that was it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dee.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm also wanted to point out there are a couple of places over there. Sophia's probably already put those books away called The Voice. What is it called? Your Voice? My Voice. Did everybody pick one up? No. Please. Go and pick one up. They are very important. You might not think so, but they are important to look over because you never know when you are going to be in a place or a position that you're not able to make all the decisions with a sound mind. So do it when you're able. The other thing is that we did bring some information from the funeral home in Clearwater. It used to be called North Thompson Funeral Services. It's now called Drake Crematorium and Funeral Services. But anyways, Drake has a bunch of interesting pamphlets which I think are always important to have. Whether you need it for yourself, whether you need it for a friend, whether you need it for a family member. It's good information, and it just keeps us a bit more aware of what's happening. So we're not trying to be deadly here, but we are also trying to be really, you know, aware. That's right, thank you. And it's like I told my kids when I did my will, I said, now this doesn't mean I'm going to die. I have no intention of dying. None. But I need to be prepared, and so do you. So listen. So the first time they wouldn't listen, but the second time they did sit down and listen. So, and that's a few years ago, so we do need to have a debrief with my kids at some point or other about what I would like done. But it's just a good reminder for all of us to be up to date with your will. That's the first thing that he says in there. Make sure you're up to date with your will. Okay, I just wanted to say just a couple of things about seniors housing. You will all know that we've made it into the paper recently, and we just want to know that the work has been done, and we have a process in place to get some more work done. And but it does take time, and it also takes patience. But we are also, we had a long list of people that wanted in, and now we have room. So now if there's anybody that needs a place to stay, we've got some room with even a couple of options. So please be aware that if there are people that are thinking about moving or would like to move, or talk to the residents, or talk to Marion over here on the far side, who will be happy to take your application. And so I think that's really, unless people have questions.
I just have one question. What is the age, what is it considered a senior to meet the criteria? 65, 60, 50?
55. Well, we have, yes. And if you have a disability, that's where you get in a little bit earlier.
Because I was told, I just recently put an application in, I was told that it takes 7 to 12 years before I get in.
Mimi, we will try and like if that's something that we need to do for you, well then we will consider it. And if you don't mind living with all of the wonderful older people, we will be happy to have you to consider it. Okay? So, indeed. All right. So that yes.
Where would we find the application form for us?
Online through BC Housing. Am I right, Marion? Or come to the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yes.
How many rooms do you have available?
We have 3. 4 actually, counting the, we do, yeah, 4.
And the cost to stay is based on income or based on what?
Let's just say we're trying to be flexible as we can. Okay? We want it for residents that are here. That's what we want it for. And sometimes people's income have precluded that they could get in or whatever. But we are also at a place that we need to work with BC Housing around that. So that's, we're trying to work for the very best of the people that are, the biggest thing is that people have to be able-bodied. That is the, really able to look after themselves, because we are not a care facility.
But is it income-based that they get in? Or is there a set amount? I guess Mary would probably be a better person to perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions that maybe I might be able to answer? Anyways, the housing is on a sliding scale. It is on a sliding scale.
Sliding down or sliding
I think one of the things that we forget is that we do need humor. So thanks, Grace, for adding that. Okay. Anyways, you can see either Marion or myself after if you need to ask any other pertinent questions. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks for that, Dee. And so this brings us to the end of an amazing day, I think. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank Jeannie, a shout out to Jeannie for the amazing lunch. The lunch came from the UBCM grant, and the funding for the breakfast and the snacks came from CBT. It's critical that we get your feedback from today. It's the first time we've done anything like this, and we can, for us to do it again, we need to know what we did right and what we maybe could have done better. So please be brutally honest. Heidi's going to walk around and hand everyone an evaluation, and it's anonymous. Don't put your name to it or anything, but please, you know, if you've got a minute, if you've got something that you think would really make a difference, just write it on at the bottom. And then we're going to draw for the beautiful succulent and the bouquet of flowers. So while Heidi's handing that out, I'll just grab those things and get organized.